Right now on Hoosier News Source, an IU student arrested after a violent, drug-induced attack.
And we'll tell you why you've been seeing more parking tickets on campus and how to avoid getting one. From Bloomington, Indiana, you're watching Hoosier News Source.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Lucy Kellison.
And I'm Carson Johnson.
We begin our show with heartbreaking news coming from another Big Ten campus. On Monday evening around 8 p.m., a shooter on Michigan State's campus killed 3 people and wounded 5 others. The suspect died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect was a 43-year-old man and was not associated with the university. The first shots came from an academic building on campus, and police reportedly responded within minutes. The 5 wounded remain in critical condition. All events, including classes, are canceled for Tuesday and Wednesday in East Lansing. From all of us here at IUS-TV and Indiana University, our thoughts are with the MSU community during this tragic time.
Police arrested and charged an IU student who attempted to break into a tulip tree apartment and attacked 2 residents while allegedly under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms. According to a probable cause affidavit, Ishmael Garcia followed 2 women from the elevator to their apartment, reportedly saying he wasn't going to rape them and nothing bad was going to happen. He then forced his way into their apartment, took off his clothes, and tackled one of the women. They were able to get away, and Garcia is charged with battery and bodily injury and breaking and entering.
The Monroe County Sheriff fired a correctional officer after an altercation with an inmate, which resulted in the inmate suffering broken bones. Sheriff Ruben Marte fired Correctional Officer James Mitchell after he and 3 other officers tried to remove an inmate from their cell, but the inmate became combative. Body cam footage shows Mitchell repeatedly punching the inmate's head, who suffered a fractured nose and orbital bone. Sheriff Marte said he wants to maintain transparency within the corrections office.
Although I have only been sheriff for a little more than a month, my goal remains to always ensure the highest level of excellence. I have the backs of all of my employees, but I will not hesitate to hold them accountable if they fail to follow our policies.
Sheriff Marte also asked Indiana State Police to investigate, but no criminal charges have been brought against Mitchell.
The price of college tuition keeps climbing. Dorm prices at IU will increase for the 2023-2024 academic year. The IU Board of Trustees announced that IU Bloomington dorm prices would increase by 1.34% or $157 per year. They attributed the increase to inflation, which has caused a rise in food prices. Last year's inflation rate in the U.S. landed around 6.5%, and officials have raised concerns recently about rising prices as this trend continues.
If you have a car on campus, you may have run into some parking difficulties in Bloomington. H&S reporter Madisyn Renbarger caught up with students in IU parking to get the full story.
Parking. Your biggest worry should be knowing how to parallel park, not where to park. Students with stadium passes are expected to move their cars every time there's a sporting event on campus. IU freshman Lily Cardinal said,
"It was just a hassle to go back and forth. Just where you're located on campus makes it harder since I'm located at Wilkie, which is one of the farthest dorms. But it is not easy just because there's so many games and it is basketball season, so the games fluctuate on dates."
The needs of the university are ever-changing, and so is IU parking. The most recent change this year is license plate recognition technology. It is a virtual permit system that associates your license plate to your parking permit. LPR cameras work like a supermarket scanner. When cameras inside garages or lots read your license plate number, they are automatically referenced against the parking database to verify proper parking privileges for the parking location. Amanda Turnipseed, IU Parking Services Director, notes that to avoid a ticket, drivers must park with a state-issued or IU-issued front plate facing the drive lane. Another issue is the amount of fines imposed on students. There are fines for things like improperly displaying your permit or staying in spots too long. Cardinal mentioned that she has received 2 tickets.
Both were for the following of parking my car at my dorm for a designated time of under 15 minutes to bring my belongings back up to my room.
IU Parking appeals your first ticket, but after that, the responsibility lies within the student. IU Parking Services could not sit down for an interview, but Turnipseed said that complaints are addressed on an individual basis, but that Parking Services also tries to educate all parking users that the mission of parking is to manage the finite amount of parking options that we have at IU, so accommodate all of the needs of the university in the most efficient way possible. Maybe next the university could offer parallel parking classes, because we could all use that. For Hoosier News Source, I'm Madisyn Renbarger.
If you do get a ticket, you can appeal it through IU Parking's website or through the email sent after you get a citation.
The City of Bloomington hosted its first Black Business Market this weekend at City Hall. Business owners, artisans, and creators from the city gathered in City Hall on Saturday to share their products and creations with the community. Hoosiers were welcome to come and shop around from a variety of art, jewelry, clothing, and even hear more about things like robots and engineering. Bloomington's Safe and Civil City Director, Shatoya Moss, tells us why events like this are so important.
Celebrate culture, to kind of understand where we come from, to understand that, we didn't get here by accident. The theme of this year's Black History Month for the city of Bloomington is Black innovation, so really highlighting some of those Black inventions that we use today.
For more information on how Bloomington is celebrating Black History Month this February, you can visit bloomington.in.gov.
Carson, it feels like spring, and I need to know if it's going to stick.
Oh, Lucy, I could not agree more, and Kayla Craig is here to tell us what to expect. Kayla?
Thanks, Lucy and Carson. Today is going to be one of the warmest days we've seen in a few months. We'll hit our high of 67 at around 4 p.m. this afternoon, and the sun will be out for most of the day, but there should be a nice breeze to mellow out some of that heat. This Saturday at noon, our men's basketball team takes on Illinois, and it'll be a chilly game day compared to what we're seeing now. Before the game, temps will rise up from below freezing, hitting around 40 as the game starts with a bit of a wind chill. As for the rest of the week, we've got another warm day tomorrow, bringing rain and maybe a thunderstorm. It'll cool off this weekend, but will warm back up alongside some rain chances heading into next week. Stay safe and have a great week. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. Coming up on Hoosier News Source, an IU student government initiative to make affordable health care on campus.
And we'll tell you about some Hoosiers who played in the one and only Super Bowl, all when we return.
Welcome back to Hoosier News Source.
Madisyn Renbarger joins us in studio with the latest on international news. Madisyn?
Thanks, guys. An unknown object was shot down over northern Canada on Saturday, making it the third time in a week that U.S. fighter jets have taken down objects in a North American airspace. The object was found by North American Defense Command NORAD, and two F-22 fighter jets from Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska, got sent up to observe the object with help of the Alaska Air National Guard. The object seems to be cylindrical and smaller than the Chinese balloon that was shot down before. It was shot down about 100 miles from the U.S.-Canada border over Canadian territory in central Yukon. U.S. jets shot down an additional object over Lake Huron in Michigan on Sunday as well, bringing the total amount of unidentified objects to 4. Nicaragua released over 200 political prisoners and sent them to the U.S., following years of repression by the country's president, Daniel Ortega. The authoritarian leader jailed dozens of opposition figures and activists, particularly in leading up to the 2021 November election. A judge announced the release of at least 222 inmates by the Nicaraguan prison system at a press conference on Thursday, saying that several were already en route to the U.S. Among the released prisoners is one American, according to the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, who welcomed their move, calling it a product of American diplomacy. According to the head of Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, a Russian missile strike in Ukraine injured at least one civilian. The attack, which happened around 11:15 p.m. local time Saturday, damaged one business and led to a large-scale fire. A 35-year-old civilian was injured as a result of the strike. He has been hospitalized with mild injuries. That's what's going on around the world. Lucy, back to you.
Thanks, Madisyn. The City of Bloomington released the State of Public Safety Report for 2022. It shows that overall crime in the City of Bloomington is down 1% from 2021, but violent crime increased by nearly 6%. Murders were up 67% from 3 in 2021 to 5 in 2022, and attempted murder rose 220%. Bloomington Fire also published statistics from the year. BFD responded to nearly 6,000 calls in 2022. The city also saw its first fire fatality since 2016. The Board of Safety also included goals for 2023 in the report, and those include addressing violent crime, improving fire response time, and as well as addressing Bloomington's homeless crisis.
Chairman N. Neal has been named the inaugural Executive Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice from the Indiana University School of Medicine. Since 2020, the IU School of Medicine has been vocal about increasing their efforts in the DEIJ. Neil will report directly to the IU School of Medicine Dean and Executive Vice President for University Clinical Affairs, J.L. Hess.
2 players from the Kansas City Chiefs, Jordan Franks and Joe Thuney, are making IU proud with a triumphant win on Sunday night. These football players are part of the Kelley School of Business here at IU, with one being a current student and the other being an alumnus. Both Thuney and Franks took the opportunity to have a partnership with the NFL Players Association, which offers Masters of Science and MBA programs to former football players. With Thuney being an offensive lineman and Franks a key player on the practice squad, they each now have a great academic opportunity as well as their stellar football skills.
IU Student Government has started a fund with the goal of making many physical and mental health care products and resources on campus more affordable for students. The $500,000 Student Health Fund will ensure that things like Plan B, mental and emotional health care services, gender-affirming care, and much more will be free or less costly. In a statement, IU Student Body President Kyle Seibert said, quote, "In an effort to further commit ourselves to student health and well-being, IUSG is very excited to announce the launch of our Student Health Fund. This fund will allow us to raise money for a variety of student health needs, including mental, physical, and emotional health. The SHF allows IUSG administrations far into the future to address these pressing needs as they arise," end quote. One of the big ticket items that the SHF will fund is Plan B. IUSG has been funding Plan B on campus since August of last year, as per the Emergency Contraceptive Access Appropriations Act. But those funds will run out by the end of this academic year. The SHF will ensure that Plan B and other personal health products and services remain free for students long after this year.
I know right now one of the main focuses is providing students with Plan B who need it, which I'm really excited for. How that's going to really help students. Getting that to students who need it and making that affordable for students that really need that.
The SHF will be funded primarily by alumni and local businesses and organizations.
Big stuff is going on for both the men's and women's basketball teams, and who better to have join us than Samantha Condra. Samantha?
Thanks, Lucy. Both basketball teams continue to be red hot. Now let's get into their most recent matchups. The men's basketball team had a chance to get their revenge on Rutgers last Tuesday, and they did just that. In a back-and-forth battle, Indiana came away with a 66-60 win in a packed Assembly Hall. They then traveled to a hostile Chrysler Center to take on Michigan, which also came down to the wire. It was the TJD and JHS show as both Hoosiers combined for 49 of Indiana's 62 points. They squeaked out a 1-point Big Ten road win and have now won 7 of their last 8 games. Next, they will travel to Northwestern in a battle for second place in the Big Ten. Now on to the number 2 ranked Indiana women's basketball team. It was the matchup of the year as Caitlin Clark and the number 5 Hawkeyes came to Bloomington in front of a record-breaking crowd. It was a back-and-forth battle, but the third quarter continues to be Indiana's strong spot, and they continued to pull away in the fourth, winning 87-78. They then had to turn around and face number 13 Ohio State in Columbus, but dominated in an 83-59 victory, in which Sarah Scalia drained 6 threes out of the 8 she attempted, and Mackenzie Holmes put up 33 points. Indiana faces another top 15 team next when Michigan comes to town tomorrow night. And if Indiana wins tomorrow, that will be their 9th win over a top 25 opponent this season. That's it for this week's IU Sports. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Samantha, and thank you for watching this week's episode of Hoosier News Source.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV News. I'm Carson Johnson.
And I'm Lucy Kellison. From Bloomington, Indiana, we'll see you next time.